Gentleman yields. Gentleman from Texas, Mr. Sessions, is now recognized.
Mr. Chairman, thank you very much. I want to welcome the panel that we have today. I think each of you have come to Washington. You knew what existed before you came up here, and that is the difference of the sides, not only politically, but also our viewpoint of the marketplace. So I learned a long time ago that politically driven policy certainly has objectives, and it also has outcomes. And the outcomes that I think that I follow, as my dear friend Frank Lucas said, is shareholder value when we're dealing with these companies. So, Mr. Copeland, during the Biden years, over 80 environmental and social shareholder proposals were approved. Yet in the past year for these proposals, many of these proposals collapsed with no environmental proposals passing and only 4 social proposals succeeding. Generally speaking, I have heard you and the panel say that they think that the big 3 passive assets managers had a direction to this outcome. Could you discuss that again for me, please?
Yes, all 3 of the passive index fund families, BlackRock, Vanguard, State Street, reduced their support for the environmental and social proposals relative to recent norms. I mean, they previously were not as much behind them, and there's sort of this bubble up, and then this year they've pulled back. The proxy advisory firms also have been less likely to recommend for some of these proposals. I do think, obviously, the change in leadership in Washington has had a lot to do with that, as well as public.
So it's policy that is political, not so much economic?
Well, there are economic imperatives, right? I mean, when BlackRock is facing investigation from state attorneys general, when they're seeing advertising campaigns about it, it could hurt their market share, et cetera. I think they've realized some of this, but I do think a lot of it is, there's a different and sort of an enforcement environment. There's a different rulemaking environment, and so there's
sometimes it's a result of actually how the performance in the marketplace worked. I don't want to just say Tesla. There could be a lot of other things, but some of these, the selling of these proposals based on politics, the outcome did not exactly work the way we thought it would, did it?
No, I mean, it's a strange example to fixate, as some of the members have, on executive pay at a company that's in the last 25 years become one of the 10 biggest companies in the world. It's a strange fiduciary obligation that the comptroller is asserting here, and that's part of the problem, right? I mean, we need shareholder oversight, but we need shareholder oversight for people who have skin in the game, that are long-term thinkers, and that are taking significant stakes in companies, like real activist investors. He's saying we're not we're long-term buy and hold in the entire market. The passive index funds are the same way. Why are they well positioned to be dictating this stuff? He's an elected politician.
Yeah, Ms. Keel, if you could address for a second the impact. We receive feedback as members of Congress from companies, many times CEOs, many times board members. Could you tell me what you think they have a feeling about having these, in essence, 3 big companies, 3 big asset manager groups to drive the people and their agenda?
Sure. I mean, every company is going to have to take into account the different constituents, and so there's a lot of engagement. I think there's kind of a misunderstanding sometimes that companies are not engaging with their shareholders. They are. They're doing it during the season, off season. They are always talking and receiving that feedback. So I think that companies welcome shareholder feedback. I think that needs to be clear.
Yes, ma'am, but I'm talking about specifically that's driven by these asset managers that are attempting to drive what might be political ideas as opposed to necessarily economic as it relates to that company.
No, so I've been focused mostly on the proxy advisors. I think companies probably feel the sting from the proxy advisors a bit more directly and acutely than the big 3, but you're certainly right that each of the big 3 has their own policies and they apply those, and as a company is evaluating what it's going to do or position it's going to take, it has to look at all of its big stakeholders, each one of their policies, each policy of the proxy advisor, and it's going to have to kind of take into consideration each of those in addition to the SEC requirements and other regulatory environments that they're subject to.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, I think that this panel, as we've gone across both sides, is answering a lot of important questions, and I thank them, and I thank the chairman. I yield back.
Gentlemen,